Okay.
So you're ahead of the game here. It looks like we got Hudson
Yes.
at 18 weeks. Yeah.
Yes.
And you're already thinking about remote collar training when he's 6 months.
Yep.
Okay. So go ahead and fill me in on Hudson here.
Yeah. So I got him. He was born at the beginning of December. He's been super great so far. I thought I was going to be working remotely because I'm a teacher and I'm not. And so I have my parents watch him during the week. They live in Chicago, which is how I heard about you. And then I think they're hopping on. Perfect. This is my mom.
Hi. Dad didn't join it, but that's okay.
Okay.
Patricia?
Hi. You can call me Patty.
Patty? A real quick, Patty, not sure if you're aware, but we started recording training sessions, Zoom sessions, and consultations.
Okay.
Okay.
No problem.
All right, go ahead, Lauren.
Yeah, so, and then I have Hudson on the weekends. I live in Milwaukee. So he's kind of has that split household, getting used to different environments, but he's been doing great so far. We haven't honestly put a ton of effort into training, but he's already been like so good. We're just hoping, especially with Chicago and how busy it is, to just have that like e-collar training so that he can roam around my parents' little mini yard without having to worry about him going into the neighbors' yards and stuff like that.
Okay.
So more so just for control. See with I bring him to my sisters a lot and they just live in a neighborhood. So just being able to let him roam a little bit, but still having control over him.
Gotcha. Anything else?
We've had a couple other Goldens in the past. We've done the electronic collar and we loved it. My husband and I went, it was all our family dog, but just to be able to walk him and, just have him on the e-collar, it was just so much more freedom. So we're used to it. We love it. And it just gave us a lot of flexibility. Like Lauren said, take the dog places and you still have him contained if you need to.
Correct. Yeah. Anything else?
I think so.
Okay. So pretty easy. I mean, you guys are already familiar with the e-collar, which is a bulk of what the consultation typically is. Lauren, are you kind of, what the e-collar is and how it works and everything, or?
Yeah, so I bought like a new one and I don't know if you recommend a certain brand. So I haven't even opened it or looked at it, but I'm familiar with other e-collars in the past. I've used friends who have dogs with them. So I'm familiar with,
Okay. Do you know what brand and model you have for your e-collar?
I can grab it.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, e-collar makes things so much easier.
Yeah, it sure does. We saw you did
the educator one.
Okay. How big are we expecting Hudson to be?
I think probably 60.
Around 70 pounds, 60, 70, yeah.
Okay, does that say mini educator?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that not right?
So Educator brand is a good brand. I used to use it real early on in my career. I don't use them anymore. A couple of things. One is the Educator is meant for 35-pound dogs and under.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's the main thing. And a lot of people with Goldens, like right now, I have like 5 cream Golden Retrievers on my calendar, as well as a couple of just standard Goldens.
Sure.
And a couple of them are very sensitive.
Okay.
And a couple of them, because the collar that I use goes to 127. A couple of them, one in particular, his name is Webster. His number is around 80 to 85. Okay. And at 80, 85, he's perfect. He's awesome. He's spot on. But anything less than that doesn't really motivate him to do anything. And because a lot of people think, oh, it's a golden retriever, like, they're so sweet and, all this stuff. And I go, but they can still be physically tough. Okay. So a couple of things here is the Educator is a great brand. However, that he would outgrow that. The concern would be once he's a full-grown dog, he would need more output than that collar could provide because it's meant for 35 pounds and under. You also want to account for the fact that he's going to be a thicker coated dog, so that can inhibit the contact. So what my suggestion would be is that you return that one. And then I use Dogtra. Dogtra has.
That was what we have with our old dog.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, the Dogtra. Yeah, I've been using Dogtra for 10 years. No issues. So very early on when I was using e-collar technologies, I had a number of aggression cases, and the aggression wasn't getting better, it was getting worse. So then I was like, well, let me experiment with Dogtra, because it's the brand that my mentor used, but I used e-collar technologies because they're cheaper, but they're still really good quality. But then also they didn't charge me for overnight shipping. It was like literally I could place an order for one collar and by the next day it'd be in my front door. So for as a seller, it was a really good incentive. But then I had that issue when I switched to Dogtra, all the problems went away. So ever since then, I was like, all right, well, I'll just use Dogtra going forward because I've not had any issues with them. And it gives you 27 more levels, which just makes it a little bit more refined than the 100 that the standard educator comes with. The collar that I would put them on is most likely the Black Edition, which is the latest model that's come out for Dogtra. It's the highest powered collar. It's meant for 70-pound dogs and over. So Hudson would of course grow into it, but you wouldn't have to worry about anything. Like that's the best collar. Okay. So like Webster, the cream retriever I was just talking about, he's 6 months. And they just started on the collar, and he's on the Black Edition. And I remember in the first session, I'm like, well, I'm glad we got the big boy collar because he's up there in terms of the intensity. So there's other collars that are lower output. So what that means is if you had like the Dogtra 2300, his number could be like 90, but on the Black Edition, it would be like 60. Okay. That it just means you get more from less. Okay. Sure. So with the Black Edition, he'd grow into it, and then it doesn't matter if he ends up being a really physically tough retriever or if he's sensitive, it can adjust to all that stuff. But this way, you don't end up getting a lower powered collar and then end up needing to purchase another $300 collar because it's just not enough for his temperament. Okay. So it just saves you that hassle. In terms of starting with it, 6 months is of course when I recommend that people start their dog on the e-collar.
Okay.
You can start sooner. Like we had a Doberman who she did a 4-week board and train with us, and she actually started at 4.5 months. Okay. But we conditioned her. We did a prong collar first for a week, and then we did 3 weeks of e-collar, and she took to it very well. But it's a little bit more nuanced than it would be if the puppy was 6 months. Okay. And were you looking to do like an in-person program or a board and train type program?
In person.
In person? Okay.
Yeah,
so
I would like, my parents and myself to be involved just because we're both
perfect. Anybody who's going to handle the dog, I suggest be present.
Yep.
And the great thing about e-collars, when done correctly, transference is very high.
Okay.
So usually what I do if I have more than one handler is I will ask who's going to be the primary handler, right? So if that were to be you, Lauren, I would have you do the first chunk of training. You know, everybody would be there. Everybody would be present. But once Hudson learns the concept, literally when you pass it to your mom or dad, everything just transfers over. As long as they do the same movements at the same number, it just transfers over. Okay. So it makes it very consistent and very easy. So like you said, like, you know, they're kind of you have them part of the time and then they have them part of the time.
Yeah.
Is especially with puppies, it provides a nice consistency. Okay. Like the home setting might change, the people he's with might change, but the collar and the structure and the discipline stays consistent. And that's what helps the dog kind of navigate without any issues. I had another client who the dog went from the mom's to the boyfriend to like the girlfriend, like 3 times a week. They would just bounce around. Potty training was really difficult. Training was really difficult, right? Because it was all like, it was too inconsistent. And they didn't want to do e-collar. So I was like, I can't help you because the dog started to have behavioral issues, started having separation anxiety issues and things like that. I'm like, because there's no consistency. The dog just bouncing around all over the place. So it doesn't sound like you had that, because if that was an issue, you'd already have, you know, told me about it. So, but in that particular case, like e-collar would have just kind of streamlined things a bit more because the dog would have had some sense of consistency because everybody would have treated the dog the same. Okay. Questions so far?
No.
In terms of length of time and cost, it just depends on how much control you want over Hudson. Okay. So I have 3, 6, 9, and 12-week programs. Okay. Most people are in the 6 to 12-week range. The 3-week program is really for people that have dogs with leash reactivity. And all they want to do is fix the reactivity and be able to walk their dog in peace. Okay. So the 3-week is like, just walk my dog. The 6-week is walk my dog and we go to the park. So we want recall. 9-week would be walk my dog, go to the park, go to restaurants. And then 12-week would be all those things. Plus you go hiking, he'd go to the dog beach. He's going to be off leash in unenclosed areas. He goes all over the place with you. Like you take your dog everywhere. Okay. So that's like the full control type program. Where do you feel like you fall?
I would say
Probably
6 to 9.
I was gonna say, or even 9 to 12. I mean, I don't, we probably, I mean, you want to take him to Kathleen and Ryan's, you want to bring him here whenever you come, and Dan and
I guess
Shannon.
my question is, so you say it transfers well between like myself and my parents if it's, you know, the same commands and stuff. How well would it transfer with people who aren't with Hudson frequently?
So the one major command that has to be transferred is typically the heel. Just being able to walk your dog. And then, so the way it would work is, let's say you go out of town and you have to leave Hudson with someone to watch your dog, right? As long as you teach him the heel, because recall is really, I don't want to say in depth, but it takes time to condition to make it foolproof. Okay. The heel is simple to transfer because people tend to walk their dogs 3 times a day, right? Every day of the week. So that's 28 times that they're like practicing the heel. So the heel tends to be the fastest thing that people teach, and recall tends to be the longest thing because you have to go to the park, put Hudson on the long leash, let him chase squirrels and play with dogs and call them and all that stuff, right? So when it comes to transferring to another person, 5 of the 6 commands, like heel, sit, stay, down, come, heel, sit, stay, down, place, are the easiest to transfer. Recall tends to be the most difficult. Okay. Because it takes the longest, because it's repetitions and failures and contexts. If you're like, hey, if you just call him and press the button, it doesn't always work that way. Okay. The heel is easy because he's going to be on a leash. The sit, stay, down, and place command are simple because he's here. You know, it's like sit. Okay, there he is. He sits. Whereas the recall is he's doing something, and then you have to pull him out of it and bring him back. Okay. So as long as we're not,
clarify, when you say place, that means stay, and then recall is come.
Correct. So place means go to your bed and don't move.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So there's 6 foundational commands: sit, stay, down, come, place, and heel, that are meant to be functional. Okay. They're not tricks like dogs do for treats. They're meant to be functional. They're meant for you to do things with your dog, right? So the heel allows you to walk your dog anywhere. You could be in PetSmart. You could be walking through the neighborhood, walking to the park and back. You could be at a forest preserve, and he's supposed to be glued to your side no matter what. Okay. Recall, no matter what you're doing, playing, chasing a squirrel, chasing a deer, running around at the lake, you get over here, right? Down, lay down, don't move. Sit, put your butt down, don't move. And stay. So I don't say sit, stay, down, stay, or play, stay. The way I teach stay is if the dog is already doing the behavior, so Hudson is already on his dog bed, he can get off whenever he wants, right? Because that's his choice. So then if it's like, you know what, Hudson, I actually need you to not move, stay. Then it would become a place command. Does that make sense? Because place means go to your bed and don't move.
Okay.
But if he's already there, where is he going to? Right. So like I had a client tell me that their trainer told them if their dog was already on the bed to remove the dog and then say place to send the dog. Right. Which I agreed with because I was like, that makes sense. Or the way that I teach, I just go stay, and then it becomes that command itself.
So stay versus place if you want him to move to a different spot.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess the question, so if I don't, I mean, 9 or 12, I don't know, because will you know as you start training him, like he might be catching on sooner versus later? Do you have to commit to 12 right up front, or can you just say we'll go as we need? Or
So
how
the
does
way
that
it
work?
works is, if you do, like, let's say for instance, a 6-week program, because it's a 6-week program, I usually target the heel and the recall, right? That's why I said walk your dog, go to the park. If someone commits to 12, they're saying, Jesse, I want everything. So their first 6 classes are heel, sit, stay, down, come, place, because I know we're going to have another 6. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas with the 6-week, I'm going, okay, I only have a small period of time, and I want to make sure I get these commands as reliable as possible, or give the owner as much information to get it as reliable as possible within that time frame, right? If you do a 9-week program, we can also still cover 6, all 6 commands, the first 6 classes, and then the last 3 classes I use to teach you how to advance them to a higher level. Okay, so the only command that needs to be off leash reliable is the recall. That's the only command that has to be off leash reliable. Everything else is kind of like if you want it and or need it. Okay, so the 12-week program is sit, stay, down, come, place, heel, built to off leash reliability. The 9-week program would be, you get the 6 commands, but the heel and the recall are what I push to off leash reliability. And in the 6-week program, it's the heel and the recall, and I want to help you push the recall off leash reliability. Does that make sense? Because it's all about time. A lot of times I get clients that, for instance, this past couple of weeks where the weather was really spotty, I have clients that are in the later portion of their training, and they're like, you know what, Jesse, I only got to train once this week because the weather was so bad. Is typically with the 9 or 12-week program, towards the end, I'll tell people to space out the classes.
Okay.
To give them the time, because not every week they're going to be able to practice going to the park. Weather is a factor, life is a factor, work is a factor. Does their dog get sick? A lot of things happen. So then I'll tell them, okay, you have all the information. Now go practice, make mistakes. Your dog's going to make mistakes. You're going to have questions. And then in 2 weeks or in a month or whatever, whenever you're ready, you come back for class 10. Then we fix those problems, go back and make some more mistakes, because it's also, there's that component, but then there's also your confidence, because it's weird when your dog is fully off leash, and you're in a setting where like there's like busy streets and stuff like that, but it's like the confidence of, I've done the homework with my dog. I know he's not going to take off, but I also know I can bring him back like that if I call him with the tool that I have. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. A lot of people are in the 6 to 9 week program. Okay, if you're for Lauren, if you were in the 12-week, you'd already know. You'd be like, for sure, everything. That's usually how that works. But typically people are like, yeah, I just want to walk my dog and make sure he comes back. And in 6 classes, if you do your homework, the way I work or operate is, if you do your homework, I keep teaching. Okay. So like that dog Webster, we covered, heel is typically 2 classes. On the 2nd class, he was doing great. He's awesome. So then we jumped right into stay, because they had time left over in the lesson. I'm like, all right, well, that was all quick. I can teach this in 15 minutes. They're like, okay, I teach more. Then they come back class 3, right? So then I could teach recall, and they come back to like, hey, the recall's going really well. Okay, let's teach something else. I go by the client. Some clients just spearhead it. They do their homework, and they happen to have a really good dog to work with an e-collar, because that's also a factor. If the dog is very like insecure, they're not going to learn the same way of a confident and stable dog would learn, so that affects things as well. But I keep teaching. So if you did 9 classes and you're doing your homework, and Hudson's really easy to work with and he's picking up on everything really well, you could accomplish as much as you could in the 12-week program. It just depends on how much effort.
That sounds better, because honestly, with us both living in the city, there's not not always welcome for them to be off leash all the time. So it would be nice to have those, but it's not a necessity.
But I would agree. I was just going to say, Lauren, I think we should let's aim for the 9. And I think he already knows the heel command. He walks incredibly well on leash. We do the stay command when we feed him, and sometimes he sits for, a minute waiting, and his food's right in front of him, and I don't let him get it. He sits there and doesn't even try. Sorry. Did I just lose you?
No, you're fine.
Still here. Maybe clicked on a different screen.
Yeah, I'm not very good at this. All right. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Anyhow, I don't know how I got lost.
I'm on the Zoom icon at the bottom.
There, I don't have the bottom. It's
well, anyway, yeah. Hudson.
Anyhow, so I was gonna say he's very good. So I think we should aim for 9. Lauren, does that sound right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, doesn't matter to me. I got a busy schedule as it is, so
I know.
Yeah.
We want the dog to be incredibly well behaved, just to give her the flexibility to take it wherever she goes, because this is her baby.
Yeah, no, for sure.
The better behaved he is, the more people will welcome him.
Other questions so far?
I don't think so.
Yeah, with the and if you'd like, have you seen any of my videos, Lauren?
I haven't. No.
Okay, so if you go to my website,
okay,
and it's Canine Perspective, and Canine is spelled out Canine perspective.com. You click on any video, it'll take you to my YouTube channel.
Okay.
And you can search, like, for instance, Webster.
Okay.
I don't believe his second video is up, but his first one definitely is. And we train now that the weather's getting nicer. We've been meeting with clients at Oz Park. So because of COVID, things have changed quite a bit. Pre-COVID, I used to travel to all my clients, go to their homes, and we'd work there in their neighborhood and stuff. But then COVID happened, and then people were like, "Oh, well, we don't want you in our house anymore." So I was like, okay, well, I know I can train dogs only through verbal instruction. So then we started meeting clients at Oz Park. So Oz is the busiest park in Chicago. I'm not sure if you guys are aware. Last year, dogs, off-leash dogs, people, strollers, bikers, rollerbladers, there's bar mitzvahs, there was a jazz band playing, there's all sorts of stuff going on at Oz Park, and we're right there training. Okay. And everybody loved it because we were in the middle of distractions, working on training, it was, how do you say, functional. And it was easy to learn. It's very logic based, it's very common sense based. So once you get the concepts, it's just a matter of do your homework and practice. Okay. So we're starting to transition to Oz Park and working outside and stuff. So you have all that kind of realistic application. And then of course you just do your homework. I call myself the lazy man's dog trainer just because you just train as you go about your day with your dog. The only time that it requires more effort on your part is, of course, recall, because you got to go to the park.
Sure.
But let Webster on that long leash, let put Hudson on the long leash and let Hudson be Hudson, right? That's where you have to put more effort. Or, if you're making great progress and you're wanting to push off leash reliability as we teach more stuff, well, if you're going to practice off leash, you have to now go out, right? Sure. But sit, stay, down, place can all be done, practice within the home. And the heel, like I said, most people walk their dogs at least 3 times a day. So you're just training as you walk your dog, and eventually he's trained that you just take him out and you apply the heel, and it's no problem. The most common question I get, which you guys are probably already familiar with, is when does the e-collar go away? And in my book, when you need it, it doesn't. Meaning, if you're going to be outside with Hudson, if he's going to be at the dog park running around playing, if he's going to be off leash at the beach, you're going to want to have that collar on, just in case something happens, or just in case if Hudson decides, like, well, maybe I don't want to do it today, right? Because he is an animal. He's a living, breathing creature that can, of course, decide not to do something. But with the remote collar, it allows you to, of course, reinforce it and tell him, like, nobody, like, you have to come back from that play group. Okay. It's called opportunistic behavior. It's nothing good or bad. It's just the way things are. So growing up, if my mom was like, hey, Jess, you can't watch TV, you're grounded. but then had to leave to go to the grocery store, and I had to watch my brothers and sister, and she'd say, hey, I'm going to leave. I trust you not to watch that TV. I watch TV.
Are they smart enough to figure out if they don't have that collar on? Yeah, that's what I think our old dog figured it out at the end. It broke and we didn't have it on, and he was like, all right, I think I can walk across the street now. So
yeah. So you guys drive?
Yeah.
You go on the expressway?
Yep.
You go the speed limit?
Yep.
Mom does. Mom's a rule follower.
Sometimes I go over.
There it is. Yeah, most people don't go the speed limit. I don't go the speed limit. It is what it is. But if we see a squad car, what happens?
Slow down.
Right. It's opportunistic behavior. When you can get away with it, you'll push the boundaries. Otherwise, if there's means of consequence, we follow the rules. That's just how it is. It's part of survival instinct. So like, if there's a pond of water and there's like an alligator in it, the animals know they won't drink the water. The alligator leaves, everybody comes in and drink water. Alligator comes back, everybody leaves. Right. So that's opportunistic behavior. So it's nothing good or bad. It's just the way it is. And it's not that you're always having to use the e-collar. Okay. If you've done your homework, your training is all there. Hudson has a concept like, okay, I have to listen. But he is, of course, an animal. And, things also happen in life. Like the most common thing that happens to my clients is random fireworks. A lot of dogs are scared of fireworks. And I've had clients be able to return their dog from a firework because they were able to override the fear because of e-collar. Okay, so that's not even disobedience. That's just our dog going, I don't know what that big bang was, but I'm scared of it. I'm going to run away from it. So things like that do happen. So even in case of an emergency, it's the only tool, in my opinion, that allows you to have as close to 100% reliability or control as possible. But yeah, he's only wearing it when he's needing it. If he's a great dog inside the house, you don't need it. If he's a great dog when people come over, you don't need it. It's really just when you're going out walking your dog, or he's going to be off leash running around and doing his dog thing, or if you go to a restaurant and someone's cooing at him because he's cute, you have a means of control.
Got it.
Other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. So typically Maria would kick in and handle the scheduling and stuff. My suggestion to you is, even though I think, 18 weeks, was that for 8, 12, 16, a couple of months away, he'll be 6 months.
Yeah.
Is you go and just start that booking process. Okay. Because I have clients that I met like in January, February that are just starting now because I'm so backed up. So definitely my suggestion to you would be reach out to Maria and then let her know like, hey, we're good to go. We want to plan 2 months from now when Hudson is old enough. Okay. And then you can, you don't, because otherwise if you come back when you're ready, there may be an even longer wait.
Sure.
Okay?
He'll be 6 months, beginning of June. So can we book, if you have availability starting as early as June?
Yeah, if there's availability, you can right away, because that's what they did with Webster. They booked right when he started at 6 months.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, okay. I think Maria and I have briefly talked about that already. So yeah, I think
so she'll get you set up with that. Okay. And then once you're confirmed on the calendar or whatever, I would send you an email that would have a few videos for you to review to get you acclimated to the remote collar. Kind of my style of training it. You don't need to do anything with Hudson. You just watch the videos so that when you arrive to your first lesson, we could just jump straight into training and we're not sitting there wasting time on, putting the collar on and like all those other things. Like you already kind of have a knowledge. And then when we come in, we can just kick in with training. Okay. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Any other questions?
So you said in terms of, like spacing out training sessions, it's based on, availability and stuff. But if you have a busy schedule, how would you recommend like scheduling the initial, like how many training sessions should I schedule right off the bat?
Okay. So if you're doing 9.
Yeah.
So the way it would work is you would pick a time with Maria.
Okay.
And like, let's say for example, Thursday at 5:30 was available. Okay. And you book that time in June. Thursday at 5:30 for 10 weeks. So 9 plus 1, if you're doing 9, in case you have to reschedule or cancel or anything like that, is you have priority over that time. No one can take it from you. Okay. So then we just keep it going so we would just keep going, right? So if you're doing 9, I would cover the 6 commands. And then once we hit like class 7 or 8, we'll see where you're at. And if I feel like you've progressed enough, or if you feel like you're like doing really well, I would give you the option. And I would say, look, we can either just go straight through and do all 9 classes and we're good. Or now you can start spacing them out. And then you could just turn around and tell Maria, like, hey, can you give me a spot a month from now? So you're already just telling her, like, and you're kind of going by the fact that you're assuming that I'm going to be busy, you know what I'm saying? And then she can just go ahead. Other clients just wait, and if they have like a more open schedule, they'll just kind of go wherever we can fit them in. But then sometimes they might have to wait like an additional 2 weeks or whatever before another time is open. But it doesn't affect the training because it's just more time to do more training. Once you hit that latter half of the program, if you came back 2 weeks later and then you have to wait a month, that's just 6 weeks of training in between. So then you have even more stuff to want to address by the time we actually have the class. Okay.
So initially it's just week by week, or like every week.
The first, if you're doing 9, I already come in going, okay, cool. We have time to do all 6 commands. We're going to do all that stuff. And by the 3rd class, I'm actually already having you starting to transition to off leash. Okay. Because we're starting to recall by the 3rd class. So heel is typically 2 classes, recall is the 3rd class. So I can start getting you out there to practice, because it's going to take a long time before that's off leash reliable. But then we would continue teaching the other stuff, the sit, the stay, the down, the place, and whatever. And then come class 7 or 8, depending on where you're at, I'd give you the option to either go straight through and finish off your program, and then you just practice. Or you say, sure, I'm going to stop here, and I'll email Maria when I'm ready for my 7th or 8th class or whatever it is that you're wanting to do.
Sure.
Okay.
One other question, besides the e-collar, is there anything else that would be necessary? You talked about the long leash or whatever.
Yeah, a long 30-foot leash.
Okay.
You can get them on Amazon, like $8 to $12, nothing fancy. You're only going to be
not retractable, just a
standard nylon. Yeah.
Okay.
Retractables aren't good to train with; they're too awkward.
Okay.
And then because there's phases to off leash, so we have short leash, then we have long leash where you're holding it, and then there's long leash dragging to no leash enclosed area to no leash unenclosed area.
Okay.
Are the stages that I give people. Okay. So since the leash is going to be dragging, you don't want that handle, the flex leash, getting caught on stuff or whatever, and they break.
Okay.
So, and they just suck anyways.
So the short leash, what length should that be?
6 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Probably want a junky one too, Lauren.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little standard 6-foot leash and a 30-foot nylon leash.
Okay.
Because if you're training your dog to be off leash reliable, you're not going to use that leash much.
Yeah. All right.
Other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. So then next thing would be just to I email Maria and I'll tell her, like, this is what I discussed. She'll send you the make and model I suggested. You can purchase them on Amazon.
Okay.
You can also purchase them through us if you'd like.
Okay.
I told you the length of time, which it sounds like you're on the 9-week, right?
Yes,
and,
I think so.
And then if you would like to get ahead of the game a bit, what I tell people to do is you can turn around and tell Maria, hey, Maria, I'd like the 9-week program. Please send me whatever you need me to fill out. She'll send you a contract form, and Maria goes by the contract form, okay? Because a lot of people ask questions and they're back and forth, but she doesn't really take it serious until she sees that form come into play. So once she'll send you the information, she'll send you the form. If you submit that immediately, she already knows, and you're like, hey, invoice me, and I'd like a date in June. She just gets that process rolling. Okay.
Great.
So it's really when people ask a lot of questions that she'll offer them times, but we only hold it for so long because we have to book people, you know, and I'm backed up and she's backed up as well with crossing everything. So that just kind of makes things easier. Is you get to let her know, I like the 9-week program. Please send me the forms. You sign your form, you get the contract in, she invoices you and all that stuff, and then she just gets you on the calendar. Okay, makes things easier. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. I suggest, watching some of our videos. They're there to help educate and give you an idea of how we operate. Lesson ones are always great to watch because no one knows what they're doing but me. And then Webster, of course, is pretty much exactly what you're doing right now. They contacted me when he was around 4 months. They booked ahead of time when he was 6 months, and then they had their first class. And you can see how it worked out for them. Okay.
You
Awesome.
trained Winnie next door, right?
Oh yeah, Winnie. Which Winnie? I've had a couple of Winnies.
So on Racine. What is Chris and Julie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Are you the neighbor?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw you when you were first training Winnie. We didn't have Hudson yet, but he was just a figment of our imagination. But yeah, I think I saw you coming and getting him and training him.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, she told me. Now I'm connecting the dots.
Yep. Yeah, they gave very high praises. They spoke very highly of you. So we saw it in action a couple of weeks ago. She came lickety split down the stairs, and he grabbed the e-collar, and she jumped right back up the stairs. So yeah, Hudson on the other hand went through the mulch.
Yeah. Well, you might see me from time to time because I pick up Winnie for daycare Mondays and Wednesdays, I believe it is.
Okay.
So it was a pleasure meeting you guys. And if you have any other questions, like I said, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I'll talk to Maria and then she'll get you all situated. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jesse.
You're welcome. Take care.
Thank you. Bye now.